Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. My name is Micah and today we are doing the If I Could Only Keep 10 eyeshadow palette video. I think this was created originally by Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner. I believe that's what her YouTube is called, so I'll make sure to link her down below. But I've seen some other people do it before now, and I was like, I need to hop on that bandwagon. So today I have 10 eyeshadow palettes that if I had to start over, if I lost all my makeup, what 10 eyeshadow palettes would I then keep? So if I were to either have to give it all away or whatever, these are the 10 eyeshadow palettes that I know I would want to keep or that I would want to go out and repurchase ASAP if I somehow lost everything. I am coming to this video not with the sense of like these are my 10 absolute favorite palettes by these brands. There may be a bit of an overlap, of course, but I also wanted to make sure that I picked palettes that I felt would allow me to do everything that I like to do in terms of eyeshadow. So I knew I wanted to get some good neutral palettes in there, but I also wanted to make sure I had some fun pops of color in there and some other things to also have, you know, whenever I like to do something a bit different, that I would have that ability as well. So this is not necessarily going to be the same as my 10 ultimate favorite eyeshadow palettes, but I cannot guarantee there won't be a bit of an overlap because I think there will be. So my first palette that I think I would repurchase, and I think everybody can guess with me what it might already be. You know I love Urban Decay. You know I love their eyeshadow formula, so then it's quite obvious that I want to put one of their palettes in my If I Could Only Keep 10 eyeshadow palettes. This would definitely make the cut, and this is of course the Naked 3. For me, when it comes to Urban Decay Naked palettes, it's very much always between this and the Naked 2. The Naked 2 is cool toned and more like taupey, and this is cool toned and rosy, and I love a good rosy toned look on myself in terms of a neutral look. So that's why I would want to put in this palette, because I know that a color story like this I would start missing in the end. Whereas I feel that I can get the sort of cool tones that the Urban Decay Naked 2 has from other palettes, as you will see in a minute. But these rosy tones, I'm all about them. If you have a fair skin tone, if you have a neutral to cool undertone, then this palette is one of the best ones out there. And yeah, I just really like these shades. I could never ever go without this. Like, there are 3 palettes that I know that if it were announced that those would be discontinued, that I would have to go out and buy a backup. Even though this is nowhere near being gone by any means, but you can see here this shade Trick has a big dent in it. And also here, Mugshot, that shade has seen a lot of use. But I just know that this is one of those 3 palettes, along with Naked 2 and Lorac Pro 3. Like, if I hit pan on any of those shades, I would go out and buy a backup. It's that terrible, because those are like my 3 favorite palettes, so I had to put one of those 3, of course, on this list. And then I would have to go with this, because I feel it still offers me something very unique. Let's just move on to the next palette then, and in line with why I didn't pick Naked 2, is because I would like to then put this. Ooh, nice reflection there. So that's my wall. This would be my current pick over the Naked 2 if I could only keep 10. And this is the Milani Soft and Sultry. And this also has taupes and grays and like some like warmer tones here. So I feel that this could do something very similarly to what the Naked 2 might be able to do. So that's why I would pick this palette, because you get a good array of mattes. It only has 4 shimmers. Everything else is matte in here. So I feel that this is like a good like workhorse. Like, this will give you your matte beige and your different crease shades and all that. So I feel that this is the kind of palette that I would use to build up other looks with. So if I could only keep 10 eyeshadow palettes, I would need a workhorse like that can offer me all that. And I feel that the Milani Soft and Sultry does that very well. And it's nice to have a little bit more of a drugstore option in here as well, even though these Milani palettes over here, by now they retail for 30 euros. I've seen this for 30 euros on Beauty Bay, and I'm like, that's no longer drugstore pricing, Milani, but hey, if you are in the US and you can find this for $15 at Walmart, then it's of course going to be a much better deal. And I do have to say that over here in Europe, if they do have sales, then these Milani palettes are very often on sale. So just saying that this is a great one, and I would definitely keep that as a workhorse in my palette collection. Everything else that I have here is sort of like fun. So one thing I really like doing is like grungy sort of looks, and I think the ultimate grungy palette is ABH's Subculture. And I know not everybody likes this. There was, of course, a lot of controversy with this one. I know, but I believe I got a good one. I can work with all of these shades, and I've actually been using it this month because I just love these shades. I mean, if you have brown eyes like me, this is your palette. These are your colors, especially if you have a very warm undertone. I love these like mustards that you get in here. I really like this green. I like that berry shade. Axis is my favorite because it's a teal, but it is the worst like to work with. But I do have to say that these two darker shades on the end make for great liners. I would like some more shimmers in this though, but I feel that it really, like, if the Milani gives me the neutral mattes I need, then this gives me the colorful mattes I need, unlike the darker, grungier end of the spectrum. And I can always substitute shimmers from other palettes to go with this to create more versatile looks. And actually what I've been doing this month is I've been pulling some of my multi-chromes by Divina into this, and I've been loving it, you guys. Just building like a basic matte look with these shades and then one of those multi-dimensional shimmers on your lid. It's life. It's life. I'm telling you, this is stunning. If I want some grungy mattes, I of course also would like to have some bright mattes, and that's why I would pick the Certify Tropical Wonders palette. This is by far my favorite rainbow palette on the market. It is all matte though, so I would again like some more like fun shimmers to play around with. But in terms of like doing a bright, fun, colorful eye look, this palette has everything you need. The only thing it lacks, in my opinion, is a good orange. This is a nice orange toucan, but it's not orangey enough to really bridge the gap between the yellow and the red, I feel. But all of these other shades are stunning. You get a really good variety. You do get a black and a white in here as well. So I feel that in terms of versatility, this is such a stunning palette, and you can do more cool tone things with this. You can do more warm tone things with this. In terms of bright mattes, this would be my pick. So let's then get to the last sort of workhorse palette that I feel I would need. And at first I wanted to put something like Tartelette in Bloom in here, or the Stila Window to Your Eyes, or whatever it's called. I can't remember which one I have, but I have one of those like square Stila palettes because those are some of my favorite neutral palettes. But then I was like, no, those don't offer everything that I would need in order to really, like, they make for really great basic looks, but if I could only keep 10 eyeshadow palettes, I would like to have a neutral palette that can really take every single look to the next level. And then I was like, I would have to pick this. This is the Natasha Danone Gold. You know how much I love this. I've been raving about it ever since I've been using this. The reason why I wanted to pick this is, like the Milani, is because it has a couple of really good mattes that can do a lot, but it actually has a lot of shimmers. And those shimmers, I think, can go with a lot of things in the other palettes that I'm showing you. You've got your more basic things over here and also in the middle, but then of course you also get these four really cool shades, and especially this and that. These shades would go really well with some things in the subculture. I feel that these shades over here can go really well with some of the things in the Milani palette, and also these shimmers can go really well with the Certify stuff too. So I feel that, ooh, blinding you there. So I feel that the Natasha Danone Gold palette had to make an appearance in this list because I feel it again can do a lot. It's got some really cool basic shades, but it also has those fun shades to amp up a look. What I like, those are like my 5 workhorse palettes, but I also wanted to include a couple of palettes that I just think are there for a bit of fun. And one thing I love having fun with is colorful shimmers. And I was like, what palette can do that best? Juvia's Place the Magic, of course. This is a palette that has more shimmers than mattes. So if I show you that like this, this is a matte, that is a matte, and then we have a matte here, and then these two are mattes. So we get 6 mattes, and everything else in here is shimmer. And I feel that it has a couple of like basic shimmers like the Natasha Danone, but it definitely has like this like bluey shade and that purpley shade, some greens, some like more gray shades. You get this really stunning pink up here as well. So I feel that this will sort of really go with like tickling that itch for something bright and colorful and something fun to play around with. So that's why this palette could not be missing from this list. But a shade range that I really like to play around with is berries. The Anya Anastasio Beverly Hills Mono Renaissance I only like because of the berry shades, but there are other palettes that do more berries. For instance, this one. This is the Lime Crime Venus XL, and the reason why I bought that is because it has all of these really stunning berry shades. So if my Naked 3 becomes a little bit boring and bland, I can always pull in shades from this to amp it up, to deepen it up, to make it a little bit more interesting. And I think this can also, for instance, work really well with the Milani, with some of the shades in the Natasha Danone. It's just a great palette for if you want still a neutral look, but still want color. And berries is just where it's at for me. I love this. In November, I pretty much wore just berries, like for most of the month, and this was definitely one of the palettes I featured then. It has more mattes than shimmers again, but you do get a couple of really stunning like berry tone shimmers, but I feel the Juvia's Place palette has a couple too, so I feel that this complements the Juvia's Place nicely as well. Another palette that I feel I would have to put in here just to have some more warmth and some other things to play around with is the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk. This is one of my all-time favorite palettes, and this was another one that in November I pulled in so much. This palette just has so much that I would again want to play around with. It has a couple of interesting shimmers, such as, I think this is Blood Moon and Turkish Delight. It has that pressed glitter, so again, if I would want something a bit more glittery on the eye, that works really well. I really like these two shimmers here at the bottom too. This is Cashmere and this is Angelic, and these two can again work really well with a lot of the other shades that I have selected. You get these like two like sort of like toppery purpley shades. You get some true purples in here too, and then you have Oud, which is a really stunning like deep shade that is a bit more cool toned. You do get a couple of neutrals to really round out the palette. So for me, I could not miss this in like if I could only keep 10 palettes. Again, it's sort of like not a workhorse palette. I don't think I would reach for this all the time, but this is like the kind of palette that's just great for pulling in a few shades to amp up any look, like the Juvia's Place and the Venus XL. Even though Venus XL, Magic, and also this one, the Desert Dusk, I would still use these as standalones, of course, too, but they also can really complement the other palettes, I feel. But in terms of color, I would definitely want to play around with some of my favorites, and my favorite colors to play around with is purples, blues, and greens. And there's only one palette currently on the market that combines all three, and that is the Blush Tribe Hasina 2. And this palette, I believe, is coming back, so it's available for pre-order right now. So if this is something you're interested in, then definitely look into it, because this is coming back, I think, in the new year. You get some like purples, pinks over here, you got some blues, you got some greens, and then you get a black. This is stunning quality, it works really well, and it just offers you a little bit something differently than anything else. Again, it has some stunning shimmers in here that can really work well for like that bright pop of color. I really like working in like a purple like this or a blue like that on the lower lash line for a pop, so everything else is neutral, but then this would be like a really great accent palette. Or if you just want to go for an all green or an all blue or an all purple look, this can work really, really well. And then last but not least, I was thinking that has some really stunning blues and greens and purples, but it's not always the depth and the definition that I'm looking for. So I wanted to pull in this as well. This is the Ace Beauty Oceanic palette. A lot of people are sort of going between this and the Whale Song palette by Menagerie. I don't own the Whale Song, but I do have this. And as you can see, this has some deeper colors. So here you have a navy and like this really intense green shade called Turtle. And that's why I really enjoy this palette. This can go with some of the shades in the Subculture It can go with the Natasha Danone shades. It goes with the neutrals. And something like the Milani palette. This will just go with everything. And again, in terms of like a bright shimmering blue for the lower lash line, or just using this as a standalone palette, again, can work too. So I feel that this again really sort of brings something differently to the table that I would otherwise miss in my eyeshadow palette collection. So these were the 10 palettes I wanted to feature in this video. Was there anything in here that you didn't see coming? Let me know in a comment down below. I would be very interested to know. So yeah, these 10 palettes would be, on the one hand, the workhorses in my eyeshadow palette collection, and that I would keep around for that reason, and 5 that I think are just really fun to really amp up a look and to really sort of bring something differently to the table, because I like doing different things with my makeup. I'm not always wearing something this basic. So yeah, that's why I feel I would need all of these sort of different palettes in my life if I could only keep 10. Leave me down below which 10 palettes you would like to keep, because I'm very curious to know. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make new videos 3 times a week, so I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!